Since the inception of this show on Channel 3, Domingo Live, started out by Domingo Peña, this organization has been a part of our life.
That's right.
Here at Channel 3. But they've been around for 60 plus years. We've got Dr. Nick Adame and, of course, Lori Galan, who is just so awesome. You got to see who is with us right now to talk to us about something that continues with this tradition. And Lori and Doctor, we've talked about this before we went on the air, about the fact that it's been here longer than we have. And the fact is that it's served literally thousands of young ladies, and we're talking about Feria de las Flores. It's a tradition. That's why we thought this was so important you guys be here to talk about the recruitment effort. Can you share that with us?
Yes, well, we're starting up again with our 63rd annual. So we are recruiting young ladies. We have had already a couple of meetings, but this will be almost our final meeting before the whole process goes through. So we're having a meeting today at 3 o'clock at the LULAC building, 3517 Holly Road, and we welcome any young ladies between the ages of 15 and 20. Just want to be committed, and that's all pretty much you need to have.
You know, the Feria de las Flores has been a staple, like we mentioned, just like Domingo Live. They go hand in hand. And through the years that we've hosted the show, we've met so many brilliant young ladies. And I believe, and I remember the very first time that they're on the show, they're a little shy. Some of them are, you know, but towards the end, oh my goodness, they just blossom. They learn so much throughout this process. If you could tell us some of the things that they learn.
Oh, well, we have a 6-month process. We teach them pretty much everything, as in speaking. We introduce them. We have a lot of guest speakers. We take them to the local colleges. They have programs for us and for them. And it's just an amazing, like you said, is that they come like really sheltered, and then they come and it's like, then you can't have them be quiet anymore. Then they want to take your job.
There you go. There you go.
I love it because we see the same young ladies, you know, throughout the community making amazing, you know, changes, and you know, after Feria, whether they win or not, I think that all of them are winners just for participating.
Exactly.
And they continue throughout the years after that, carrying all that they learned with them, and they become leaders in the community. Yes, I love it.
Dr. Adame, tell us about the history.
Well, you know, it was started back in 1959 with Joe Flores and his wife, longtime members of LULAC, and it started with grand pageantry at the Coliseum, where they wear the hoop dresses, you know, in presentations, to a cultural event that has transformed into an event that only lasted a couple of nights to an event that spans over 6 months. A lot of the young ladies that do participate, whether winners or not, you see them in all walks of life, in education, law, you know, military. You know, we had one of our queens. She joined the Air Force, and she's doing well. So you know, it kind of sparks that enthusiasm. If they weren't sure about college in the beginning, by the introduction to all these young ladies in different fields, they're enthused about it.
Sure they are.
You know?
Sure they are.
Yeah.
The one thing that I know that maybe parents who are watching right now are asking is, okay, I've got a daughter. She is a teenager. She wants to do something, but she's not quite sure if she would even qualify for this. What are the requirements?
The qualifications are basically very simple. Ages 15 to 20, and you gotta wanna be committed because it does take some time. But there is a sponsorship, but we usually help you with that if you can't find one. And then there's a sale of advertisements. And then we also have where they don't have to look out for their dance instructor because we have one already. So we make it pretty simple, so there really isn't too many requirements.
Sure. And that was going to be my next question. A lot of the young ladies watching, they can say, well, I don't even know how to dance. I don't need, where do I start? But you make sure that that's handled.
And it's not about the dance. It's always been where Feria has always been thought of as it's the dance. You need to dance perfect, but there's also interview process. That's why we have this 6 months of teaching you how to speak and how to go out into your community and look for, you know, make sure you know about your government and things that are happening in your own community, because it is about the interview the night before.
Current events, poise and articulation.
Yes.
These are all a big part of the grading, you know, so.
The other thing that many of these potential candidates out there may be asking is, you have to learn about a specific state in Mexico. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. Well, we give them, we tell them like if it's like, I don't know, any state in Mexico, and we do have them do their little history. And it's not like they have to know everything, but just key points and what happens in those states that is helpful for America and what they do to keep their city alive. So it's not a lot to learn about their state, but just they need to know about it though.
Yes.
But they will learn the dance of the state.
Oh,
There you
yes,
go.
yes,
That's
they need to learn the dance.
The
yes.
dance of the state. And what I've noticed also is they build these amazing friendships.
Oh my God, yes.
This
yes.
teamwork.
It's
these young girls.
It starts off as, it is a competition at the end of the day, but it never starts off that way. They just come out to be the best friends, and they're having so much fun. And then that night it is competition night, but it never is like that throughout the whole 6-month process.
Sure.
But I've noticed that they're happy for each other.
Yes.
And for
Yes.
each other's successes.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what it's all about.
Yes.
That's what Feria de los Flores are teaching these young women.
Sure it is.
Yes.
Sure it is. And you've had in the past, how many participants? The highest number that you've ever had?
Oh,
Oh, the highest number at one time?
that was probably more back in the 70s and when my sister was in it and stuff. They had up to over 20 sometimes. Now it's between 10 and 15 is usually, and honestly, that's like to be my max because more than that, it's like crazy.
It's crazy,
Yes,
right? Trying to get
crazy.
everything-
Because you run around with the
Yes,
young lady.
yes, I have to be like we have to be everywhere. So yeah,
does
that's
get
usually. But if we
crazy.
get more, that's fine. We will never turn anybody away. But that's usually now. It's usually between 10 and 15
Very
young
good.
ladies.
So the last big question is, how do they go about applying and getting in contact with you guys?
Okay, well they can contact myself, which is Lori Galan Garcia, and it's on our Feria Facebook page. But today at 3, we're having a meeting at 3517 Holly at the LULAC building. So
3516.
35 what?
16.
Oh,
3516
it's okay.
Holly Road.
Okay, they would have went to the Family Dollar instead.
That's all right.
Which is fine
door.
if you
Right
want to
next
get
door.
some snacks before.
So it is there at 3 o'clock, and just come in, and we'll be sharing everything that it's about.
Yeah,
and
well,
then it's on.
again, another misconception that it's only for Hispanics,
No.
but it's not. It's open to everybody.
No.
Everybody's
Everybody.
good.
Everybody, you do not have to be Hispanic.
And then that is the message we want to send out there.
Yes.
It's inclusive.
That's right.
That's
so,
very inclusive.
you get out there and be a part of this. This is a
We're so
wonderful
diverse. Yes,
organization
sir.
And
Yes.
a great tradition.
Yes.
Dr. Adame, Lori Galan Garcia, thank you so much for coming.
No,
and
Thank you,
being part
Rudy.
of
Thank you,
Thank you
Barbara.
all.
Of course.
We
We're so
appreciate
glad
Thank you,
that y'all
Domingo
are
Live, for having us here
here.
today. You know.
We're so excited.
We're the only ones here, but
I know. We don't even know how to act anymore. we don't know how to act with our guests anymore. It's a little, because, we haven't had guests in such a long time.
We're
when we
honored
do
to be your
a
first.
trickle here. But thank you so much for
Están
being
en su
here. We
casa.
appreciate it.
Thank
yes.
you. Thank
And we
you
do
so
miss having all the girls here.
They're coming. They're
Okay,
coming,
good.
girl.
Soon.
Good.
Very,
Yes.
very soon.